You with the Longevity Channel. I'm Helen Hansen, and today I'm chatting with Dr. Salochanee Reddy. Hi, Salochanee. So good to have you with us.
Hi, Helen. Thank you so much for having me on the channel.
16th of October is the date that you can be hearing from Salochanee in our webinar, Inside Insomnia. How would an Ayurvedic approach take a look at somebody who is struggling with insomnia?
Often we just say insomnia and we glorify it. I must say it's a glorified term because it shows that you're stressed. And stress means that you are productive, if you have to break it down. And then with that, we don't really see the impacts of what it actually does to our productivity as a person. So going into the treating insomnia with remedies tailored to your specific doshic imbalance. So understanding we can't really treat our doshic imbalance without understanding ourselves. Understanding the Vata, Pitta, Kapha constitution. So, for example, when we have a Vata imbalance and you wake up in the middle of the, wake up at 2 a.m., as I explained to you earlier, that's the area of the circadian clock that works, that is attributed to the qualities of the day and the night, of the 2 a.m. and the 6 p.m. And that's the Vata imbalance that kicks in. And when you're having trouble falling back to sleep, it's which is most common. That means there's an activeness going on in the mind. And that is worry. And we tend to think, okay, I'm not really worried because we have quite a resilient mind. And whatever's happening in the body is actually happening in the mind. But we know how to manage our mind. But you can't, so we talk ourselves out of that, I'm not stressed. But actually your body is showing you that there's a worry element. So Vatas, for example, their mind is all over the place at that time. And there's the element of the worry that kicks in. Or there's way too much of creativity, for example. There's way too much nervous energy. So you tend to wake up at that time and you want to start to do your creative projects. Or you're then talking yourself back into going into sleep, but that's actually not going to happen because your mind is already active. And then you're like trying to fall off to sleep at 6 in the morning. And that's when Kapha's time is kicking in, and that's when you're at your slowest. So in terms of particularly like Vata, I think that's where we all at in terms of the season change at the moment. Things like, we know of things like lavender and chamomile tea and all of those things, which all work. But I think if you just have to take yourself back before you do the treating and do the prevention, and Ayurveda is very much that. It's preventative. So knowing that, okay, it's month end and there's lots of things happening, and I'm actually going to have a horrible sleep during these next few days. So be a bit preventative around that, and start to, before you go to bed, rub your feet and your hand with warm sesame seed oil. So that also grounds you, so that that's actually physically working with your body. And it's sesame seed oil, for example, is the grounding oil that you would use during seasonal change for your body. Or you can take an infused bath with fennel, with orange, with tulsi oil, those kind of things that we are normally we tend to do, but we also tend to forget. So these are the things that we know of, but at the same time we can also, there's an oil, there's a product called Brahmi. It's actually a herb, and it's actually to balance your nervous system. So if we could use Brahmi and make a warm tea with that before we go to bed, but also knowing where your trigger points around when you're going to be having an active mind, for example. So that's just covering the vata aspect of a person and an active mind that's all over the place. But as we go through it, I will also unpack what it is for a kapha mind and a kapha body, and what it is for a pitta mind and a pitta body, and what we can do to balance that in terms of insomnia attacks that we so often get, but we don't actually know how to manage from a holistic perspective.
Thank you. That was absolutely fascinating. And I'm so excited to be hearing the full story in the webinar. You know, currently in my practice, I'm having so many clients coming in with insomnia, as you say, and it's actually just stress. And a lot of it has been during the lockdown now, which is totally understandable. And everybody's putting so much more pressure on themselves. And as you said earlier, I love that it was just take a step back. So perhaps literally now, take a step back, but also holistically from yourself, and get into that witness mode and just start looking at yourself as a complete whole being, and not only just as this machine between 8 to 5, as you were talking of earlier.
The doing body that we have, and that doing body that we abuse, and we don't really correlate the mind, the body, and the emotions, and we just expect the body to just fall off to sleep.
Yes.
Yes. But there's a lot. There is the mind, and there's an emotional part to it as well. So I'm so excited to be doing this, and to be sharing and to be collaborating with the rest of the speakers, because it's just so I think we live in times right now where we actually do need this, where we have different collaborations in terms of different modalities coming together, just because what would work for me may not work for another. For example, if I take a soak, and I'm actually more soak in a tub before I go to bed, I'm actually more hyper active than going off to sleep. So it's just because my pitta in me is rising, so those are the kind of things that we tend to do because we just see that is what is there and we should be doing. And then we're like, okay, it doesn't work for me. Yes, it won't work for you. Different for everybody. And that's what's exciting about getting to know yourself, your mind, body, constitution as well.
16th of October is the date that you can be hearing from Salochanee in our webinar, Inside Insomnia. It's going to be aired from the 16th to the 23rd, and you are welcome to register for free before the 15th. All you need to do is go along to the longevityco.coza, and you will see an option at the bottom of the page. All you need to do is put in your email address, and you will then receive from us a link for the webinar on your email. And along with that, building up to the webinar, you will be receiving lots of information, podcasts, video links like we're doing here today, as well as articles, blogs about insomnia. So if this is something that resonates with you, or perhaps if you have friends or family that you know of who are struggling with this, please do share this valuable information with them, because it could very well affect them and benefit them in a hugely positive way. Thank you, Salochanee. We'll chat again and see you on the 16th of October.
Wonderful. Take care. Thank you.